question for today's live stream. When the person experiences psychotic episodes, manic episodes in their 20s and now on medication, what healing avenues or understanding would you suggest to support? And what is your understanding of what has actually happened? Two things I'm looking at already is Osho chakra meditation and Wim Hof's, the Iceman breathing meditation. Can you possibly answer this on your live stream today? I may not be able to watch as have 3 girls to get off to school, etc. as it's 6 a.m. Monday here. Love, Rob. Oh wow, 6 a.m. Yeah, I'm really not a mental health expert in any way. I do know a little bit about it. If you've read my book, you'll understand why. Well, non-duality, for sure. Like remembering who you are, no matter what life is pointing to. I remember Alma telling this story. I spent a little bit of time with Alma at her ashrams, and I remember her telling the story about how she told this story how everyone was, this was in India at the ashram, and I hope I get the story right. So everyone was angry with this man who every day kept going into the middle of the square at the ashram and doing a poo. And he just would poo in front of everyone, and they used to get sticks and brooms to like usher him away, and he was really like off his head, like in the sense he didn't really buy into the collective reality that everyone else bought into, and he always like did whatever he felt like doing, and one thing he felt like doing was doing a poo in the square. And one day Alma saw this, and she saw the people working at the ashram like using brooms, not beating him but ushering him away to get him to leave so he wouldn't poo in the middle of the floor. And she ran out yelling at them saying, "Put your sticks down, put your sticks down, shame on you. He is way more enlightened than any of you people put together. I'm way more free than any of you put together." And I thought that was really beautiful. Like one thing that seems to happen with waking up is questioning all your concepts and all your beliefs and what you take to be you. And what I take from that story is that, you know, this guy that was doing this, like he was totally above and beyond like social convention. I'm not recommending to everyone to go and take a turd in the middle of your town square. You're most probably get arrested. But like what it's trying to point to is that he's totally beyond that convention. Like there's something in him that's totally surrendered in that moment. Like to just acting out what's appearing in his body. And that's how I was taught too. I mean, I was taught very radically. I sometimes think that I dilute things on the internet a bit to try and make it less shocking, and also to not expose myself too much. Like it's quite vulnerable being on the internet. Like, let's just be clear, what am I exposing myself to is exposing myself as a complete and utter Looney Tune, which I am. And I have to admit that I love going for a poo in nature. It's very satisfying. I don't do it in town square. I try to abstain from doing that. Of course I don't do that, but I do go out in the nature and I really enjoy that. There's something very satisfying and beautiful about it. Although Khaleesi always has a tendency to want to eat it, which is very repulsive. So that does put me off wanting to go to nature. She's like, oh, Mum, you're feeding me from the wrong end today. Sorry, I'm being naughty today. I'm exposing my true character on the internet. I tend to hold back from being a bit like this on the internet because I don't want to expose myself too much. Yeah, so if you already thought I was a bit crazy, you've only seen maybe half of it. And it's all these conventions that you have around that being disgusting or that being inappropriate, me being too gross. These are all conventions of your mind and in a way limitations. And yes, after you've seen them all to be illusion, then you can go back to having your social norm, but it's breaking down those boundaries of what you think is right or wrong or good or bad, and then ultimately coming back to just acting out what God or life wants. And that's really radical and really crossing all boundaries of what humans believe, because it's taking away from what our concepts of good and bad are and just giving it to God, like to what your impulse is. Like right now, right here, what are your natural impulses to do? Whether it be to be like, or to fart in front of your partner. Like, it always shocks me when people have been with their partner for a very long time and not farted in front of them. Like, if you've never farted in front of your parents, I'm sure you've farted in front of your parents, in front of your partner, I think that you have to do that. I think this is very anal to not have done that your whole entire time. I think you have to be prepared to totally expose yourself. Like, that's so super vulnerable to fart in front of people. I used to love hanging out with the Buddhists because they never had any shame about that. They'd just be sitting there and they'd all be going one after the other. Like, totally letting go of everything that you think and feel. And then the ultimate one is that you are somebody sitting in that seat. You're not. This is complete lunacy. This is complete craziness. You aren't someone sitting in that seat. There is only life experiencing itself. And that person that comes up and says, it's inappropriate to poop in the town, is only an appearance. It's not who you are. And it's a social appropriateness, but it's not who you are. And just think about all the judgments or ideas you have. And that's part of the character. That doesn't have to go away. But it's questioning that and seeing that that's not truth. That's not who you are. That not farting in front of your partner, like farting in front of your partner is not going to take away your happiness. Because if you believe that you're this person, then it becomes so serious, and like farting in front of them becomes shameful. And it's like, I'm a bad person. I'm ashamed. I don't want to be seen like that. And who is this image that you've got it for yourself? In the moment, it's just sound happening. It's just appearances happening. And so what? It's funny. Like, it's a funny thing that life invented into us, that we make these funny sounds from our back end. We make funny sounds from our front end as well. And in the moment, it's just happening. And then embarrassment appears, and then you're on to the next thing. Like, just here. And the identity is always like holding on to that and like, oh God, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And it's holding this image of you and holding on to being something. You aren't anything. That's God's fart. That's God's view. That's God's poo in the middle of the ashram. It's not you. This idea that you're doing the actions and you're responsible for your life isn't you. Oh, okay, so we're going back to what is good medication, what is good after you've had these types of things. Yeah, I just went off on one then. Yeah, so basically, I don't know what is good to do, but what I do know is what you're doing is absolutely perfect. It's all God's will. And just trusting that. So the urge comes up to do Osho, the urge comes up to sit in silence, the urge comes up to listen to me, and that is perfect. And it's all a journey to waking up. You can't There's not a journey to hell and to waking up. It's all a journey to waking up. It's just some stories are longer than others. The only way to go is home. You've got no other options, because that's what the world is made from, is home. So even though you've got this daydream that you're in the past or in the future, all you've ever got is home. So you can run around in these illusory worlds, but this is all you ever really have. So that's the only place you can ever really go. You're always safe in yourself, which is this moment, which is here. Okay, so there I've successfully got out of answering your question in any direct way, as I don't really know that much about mental health, but so now I'm just going to move on. Or I'm not trained in mental health. I do actually know a lot about mental health.